ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the one and only.
Hold up. He stole my greeting. I don't care if it's your birthday or not, because this is my house, and I'm taking over. Now what I want you guys to do is walk with...
I know it's my birthday, no, I should be real nice. But what do you think you're doing? You don't think Greek from the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, popcorn popping, and elbow dropping. Came all the way from the 30 South. So know your role, shut your mouth.
No. What can you do? I came out here to flip. You gonna cheer for that? What can you do?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the original anti-diva, and of course, a legend of Hollywood himself, Paige and Vaughn!
And I'm just the moderator.
Introduction for you too.
Hey,
those gentlemen were tremendous.
what did you think of fighting with my family? Okay. How excited after hearing the film at Sundance to be here to see just this reaction. I mean, the reviews have been awesome. I mean, you know, like what did you two actually get to meet for the first time?
We actually met at Sundance.
That's what you
Yeah, we did. We met at Sundance, and I was a little bit intimidated because like me and my brother and my boyfriend were all big fans of Vince, and I was like, how do I approach him? But you were so nice that like as soon as I walked past you straight away, I was just like, hi, I loved your story, I loved the movie, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Vince Vaughn is talking to me right now, you know. But I was like, thank you so much, and then I just kind of talked erratically for a little bit, and I don't think I really knew what I was saying, but.
You were tremendous. I was really and motivated in enjoying the movie because of your story. Paige's brother Zak is actually here with us tonight. So I think I speak for a lot of people. It was such a unique story and such a powerful story, and I found it odd that Florence didn't have the chance to meet you actually before filming, right? You guys were kind of text friends.
Yeah, we were. We were like pen pals, kind of. Because I didn't get to meet her until afterwards. But she was filming over in England, so I couldn't fly over there and have neck surgery. So I didn't get the chance to do that. But she did text me every other day. She was truly wonderful, and I mean, she just did a wonderful job, didn't she? Incredible.
So I'm just curious, like, was this like a calculated move to not for you and Florence to not meet Paige?
Gosh, no, I would have loved to have met Paige sooner. I became a fan when I went and started watching. I'd never seen anything. I had grown up watching wrestling and enjoying it, but I had taken a long, I had been away from it for a while. So I was so impressed with the diva stuff. I had never seen anything like her that kind of came out, that had that kind of athleticism, beautiful girl, interesting, kind of original. So I was just, I would have loved to have met her prior to. We were soaking up everything that we could as far as information was concerned. I think it was just the way the movie came together, and that, obviously she has a career in that outside of the film. So I just think it was just timing and the way everything landed.
I think you're like this other guy, Dwayne, whatever his name is. He's gonna have a
Who's
career,
that? Yeah.
outside of wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephen Merchant, who directed the film, I mean, he brought so much to it that, I mean, you don't even need to know anything about wrestling to find it.
Are you having a hard time hearing him? I'm going to switch with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vince. That was
Stop
very
delivering.
selfless of you. But you don't need to know anything about wrestling to relate to the themes of this movie. Stephen Merchant, who wrote and directed it, just did such a phenomenal job.
He really did. What you think?
Yeah. I didn't know if you were asking him.
I think it was a group question.
Oh, okay.
This
Yeah.
is a tag team match, this would be good.
He actually did absolutely incredible. Honestly, we have to thank him like a lot for this because I just gave him the story and he made it. He made the script incredible. I'm sure like you enjoyed the script from Stephen, right? He was just he's a comedic genius too. I mean the parts with my parents though, this is a story that he would usually tell, is people usually think it's exaggerated for Hollywood, but no, that's exactly how my parents are all the time. And he said he literally flew to England and just had to follow them around with a notepad and just write down everything they said, anything that came out of their mouths, and the script kind of wrote itself with them. They did a fantastic job.
He's a very talented guy, and having seen the documentary prior to, it's always difficult in narrative to include everything, and I think one thing he did very well was create the intentions and the emotions and what was going on. I was saying Paige backstage prior to coming out was the oddity to me in watching it was here's a family that's so close, and you could see just how emotional it was for her to make the decision to go, and the whole thing was done for the family, and yet the irony is you move away from your family and have a life in a completely different place. I wanted to ask you, I'll hand it back to you, did you experience that? Did you feel that? Are you closer to your family because of the journey, or was that hard?
Yeah, so we were like already obviously super close, which you can see from the movie how close we are. But yeah, we're like even closer now because I barely get to see my family. I mean, Zak's over here obviously right now because I made him stay longer too. He was supposed to go home on Tuesday, and I was like, you're coming to LA with me.
Zach, come out here and take
Yeah, please.
Come out here and take a bow, mister.
Hey, Zak Zodiac. It is, yeah, exactly. This is just as much Zak's story as it is mine. And you know what I think is wonderful about Zak's story is your level of success shouldn't be measured about how famous you are or how many Instagram followers you have or how many cameras pointing at your face. Zak is successful in a way where he wanted a family. He's not a family. He's teaching disabled children how to wrestle.
Woo!
Awesome.
Awesome!
So Zak is so successful, and that's a story that he wanted to get out there too, that you don't have to, look at someone's Instagram life and feel like you are not as successful when truly you are.
Right.
Don't follow me though, if I want.
You can all follow me if you want.
That's the funny part. He was like, wait, I think I can get more followers now.
But for both of you, like did you both watch the movie together, like for the first time together, or did you watch it first? Like how
We
did that
haven't seen
happen?
it together yet.
You haven't seen it?
No, we watched a separate. All right, start it again real quick.
What was it like for you to sort of see how things play out? And I guess the other question here is like, was anything like off limits when it came to the family, or was it just like go for it?
Well, with our family, nothing is really off limits, as you can tell. That's exactly how they are. Like we grew up being in front of a camera. My parents, any documentary that would approach them, they'd be like, yeah, go on then, throw us on the camera. It will sell more tickets, sweetheart. That's how it was. That's how our dad and mom was. So we were so used to it that when the movie came along and they were like, we were just like, it's fine, put everything out there. We're like an open book,
You know what's really strange is about 18 months ago, I was fighting my own demons and I was going through a really hard time. And the first time I watched this movie, I had like a out-of-body experience. And I was looking at my life. And, it sort of hit home, as my sister said, you don't have to have cameras or thousands of people watching you do what you do. It's if you can make someone feel special and give them their dream.
Yeah.
And I do that on a regular basis, training people that are written off in society. That was an amazing moment, an amazing experience, and it really helped with my mental health and got me back to where I am today.
Yes. Yeah.
So Florence is playing you, but Hutch is sort of it's a different character because he's not just based on one particular person. So how did that sort of like free you from like, I gotta play this guy just as it was, and you can sort of like create your own character out of this?
Well, I kind of took a combination of a bunch of guys. There was different people I can let Paige speak to who the real mentors were. And then for the purpose of the movie and consolidating them, I went a lot to there's a reality show as well where they're showing people who are attempting to make it in the WWE, and there's kind of a process that they put them through. And you know, there is sort of in these types of movies that character who's almost a mentor type character that is kind of being hard on the individual, testing them, and at the same time encouraging them. So it was really a compliment to Steven, I think, in figuring out how to weave that in. And I collaborated with him a little bit on the script and on those things. And our real intention, the purpose of it, was really to serve the story, what would elevate and showcase what the true real Paige was going through in a consolidated time, you know, for the purpose of the film.
So, like, how are you seeing this? You know, because the movie, you know, is open this weekend, and you know, it premiered at Sundance to great reaction there. Like, how are you like sort of seeing like the reaction that people are having that this is not just a wrestling movie, that this is a heartwarming story, that the family, you know, you can relate to the family by any measure. Like this is a film that really transcends so much. I mean, how proud are you that the movie is succeeding in that way?
It's very surreal, you know, like we were actually standing over there just to watch the last, you know, 10 minutes of the movie. And the reactions have been pretty consistent every time we do that. And that's so wonderful for you guys to hear, you know, laughing and then being like, aw, and then like, you know, clapping because, you know, because of the success of Zach and myself in different stories. And it's just really wonderful. And I already thought, you know, obviously you're going to be biased and be like, no, this movie's going to be great. But then you don't expect it to be so good. Like, we got a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, you didn't kill that. Like, what about?
Say that again. Rotten what?
Rotten Tomatoes.
I love that.
Tomatoes.
I want to open up to the audience. Here's your chance to ask some great questions here. So, here's one right there. Right? Wait, in fact, you're in the front row. So, here.
Hey Paige, I've been a huge fan of yours since you first popped up onto the scene. And you've helped me realize my dreams and goals. What would you say for someone like me who's trying to get into the WWE?
I said this at the last screen too. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's like the same advice that Dwayne gave me, and it's stay humble and hungry. Humble because you want to be able to work with people, and obviously people are going to be able to work with you. And then stay hungry because you want to set goals and never get complacent, you know. And then I always tell people to be patient because it doesn't come overnight, and you really do have to work really hard for it. And if you're a wrestler coming from a girl that didn't do it very well, tuck your chin.
Right here. First, right behind you, and then we'll go to you. Yeah, go ahead.
How you doing, Paige?
How's it going?
I was there the night you debuted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the day after WrestleMania
Oh,
Raw.
wow.
How does it feel to be the actual woman that paved the way for this year's WrestleMania for Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair?
Oh.
How does it feel to
It feels fantastic. I wouldn't say it was just me though. Like there was a couple of different women that did it. I just came into FCW at the time of NXT. I was just a different flavor of ice cream. You know, you get these women that are so beautiful that they had freaking doves and smoke machine, and they were constantly walking around in slow motion. You know, like they were that kind of beautiful. And then you get me, who's like the girl who barely brushes her hair, doesn't know how to like do makeup, still doesn't know how to do it. But I get by. So it was just different for people to see, and that kind of is like what sparked it. And then I came in and I didn't wrestle like the average girl. I wrestled like a dude because of my brothers. I grew up with my brothers. So that's the thing that kind of set me apart. And then I started doing matches, you know, where they were like, no, you can only do 2 minutes here, like in FCW. And I'm like, hell no. I would go in the matches with the girls, I'm like, we're doing 10 minutes, we're gonna do this, like the guys do, and they you know, I got in a lot of trouble a lot of times. And then a lot more girls wanted to do that kind of stuff. They wanted to wrestle like the guys and prove that they're just as good, if not better than some of the guys, you know. And then I remember this one time, and it was me and it was Emma, and we were against the Bella twins. And we got cut, our time got cut to like 2 minutes live on TV, and we were like so frustrated that we were like, okay, we're gonna do 30 seconds. So we went out there, we did 30 seconds. We came back, obviously everyone was livid with us, but we got Give Divas a Chance trending for 3 days straight, and so like the Divas Revolution kind of kick-started from that.
Yeah.
watched wrestling, when you were younger? Like, what was it that you learned, like, that surprised you making this movie about wrestling that you didn't already know?
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize just how much everyone draws from wrestling. I've said this before, I'm sure, because when we went to Rick Rubin, Def Jam, like a lot of the promotions and the artists that he had, he really drew from wrestling. And I think a lot of people do, both for heels and heroes. It's when we went to WrestleMania, Randy Wallace, who wrote Braveheart, was there. Rick Rubin was there. I just think it's like soap opera and spandex. It's entertainment, and it's meant to be. You follow these storylines. They create these storylines, and then they kind of play it out. And it's kind of the oldest form of that kind of live entertainment, which is when you're there, it's very visceral. So I just appreciated the athleticism. I was kind of blown away that they were all kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis, meaning they all kind of, I'm going to say it wrong because you corrected me before. When you stay in character.
Kayfabe.
Kayfabe. So they're like in character backstage, acting as if the characters that you see in the ring, and they don't break character. They kind of stay in their characters. They take it very seriously. So that was interesting. Yeah.
Got a question for you here.
Kayfabe.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. My name is Joe McQueen, Paige, Vince. I just want to say.
Zak Zodiac.
Zach. Is that. I just want to ask, you have anything to tell me about my motivation on getting my story out there? My story is very impressive because this was the motivation. I'm just watching your story, and it just 100 times just gave me that boost. And I just want to ask you, what can you tell me to get the confidence and keep pushing and not giving up on my dream?
You should get Dwayne Johnson to watch your documentary on YouTube. No, I mean, it's like I said, like, you have to just be so patient with it. I know, like, it's so wonderful that you got inspired by the movie, and that's exactly the message that obviously, like, we want. And I would just keep on trucking, dude. Like, you can do it. Like, I don't really have any advice because it just, like, happened to me randomly, when I was 21 years old. He talked to me about this. But yeah, I would just stay completely motivated and to literally never give up.
Thank you.
What impressed you about Dwayne Johnson? Not just from his earlier wrestling career, but he's an actor, he's a producer. I mean, he's doesn't freaking sleep. What was like, what impressed you the most?
Well, I knew Dwayne from back at a movie called Be Cool. It was one of his first movies. Twinkle Twinkle, baby. So I've known him for a long time, and I think he was very charismatic. Obviously, in wrestling, he was a guy that I think everyone paid attention to, whether they were following the WWE at that time or not. And it's just been terrific to see him ascend in the way that he has. And I think when you hear the advice that he gave Paige, I think it's true for him. I think he has stayed humble. He's very considerate, very polite, very warm to people, and he's obviously a guy that's like getting up at 4 in the morning and eating chicken breast or whatever he's doing, so he's very motivated as well.
He actually sets an alarm. Stephen would say that he sets an alarm to eat. Like, he has to eat like after a certain certain time of the day or whatever. He has an alarm, and he was like, I was having a conversation with him about the movie, like a very serious one, and the alarm goes off, and he was like, wait, goes and just gets like chicken and rice, and then goes continue, and it's like shovel of food. I was like, I wish I had that motivation.
Gotta get that protein going.
Yeah.
But what's that first conversation you had with him? Because ring, you answered the phone, hello, hey, yeah, Paige, it's Dwayne Johnson. I want to make a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was through text, and he called himself DJ, and I'm like, who the hell is DJ? And why are you texting my phone? I was very confused. And then I obviously asked my mentor, Dean Malenko, I was like, who is this? And he was like, well, it's Dwayne Johnson. And I was like, what? And it was just very bizarre. So I like the movie where Hutch takes me to the room and stuff. Someone came and got me and took me to the room. So that's very true to the story, like what happened, except from, he not only told me that I was going to be Divas champion and debut him the next day, he also told me about the documentary and that he was going to be making a movie on my life in the space of 5 minutes.
Wow.
Like, I was crying my eyes out, eyelashes flying everywhere, snow bubbles going on. He's handing me tissues, constantly whoa, it was very emotional. And then he was like, and no one's allowed to know about this. And I was like, got it. And I'm walking outside, and this is WrestleMania, and I'm walking outside backstage, and Tamina's out there, and she was just like, are you okay, sis? And I just go, I'm just a really big fan of Dwayne, I don't know. That's all I could reply. I couldn't say anything. So then I had to continue until obviously when I made my debut the next day, I pretended I didn't know about it. Finley was the one who told me.
What's it like for you to be 20 pounds?
I haven't met Dwayne Johnson.
Like a premiere?
No, I've still not met him. That's a dream.
Yes,
Hopefully
that part
I'll meet
was
him
real.
soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't met him.
He didn't yell at us backstage.
That's
We
coming.
wish.
Get him on the phone. Okay, who else has a question? Yes, you in the hat.
One of the best things about it was the laughs were great and everything. It was the heart of it that comes from his guy. It comes from kind of came from the moments where you guys allowed yourselves to show your flaws and your vulnerabilities. And I guess in your conversation with Steve and telling the funny stuff was easy, but were there ever any hard parts in talking with Steve about, you know, we want to show this darker side, we want to show these failures? Like, what was that process like working with Steven to show those things on screen?
Steven is like a therapist. You can't help but tell him stuff. He just has that warm personality where you feel very comfortable. And he never pushed to get the dark stuff out of us. He was just like, if we told him stuff, he was like, if you want this in here, that's fine. If you don't want it, it's no big deal, you know. But he was always really wonderful, and not at one point was I like, no, I don't want that in there. I gave him everything. It was just like, I trust you with it now.
See, I didn't struggle to tell Stephen anything, to be honest. Any mistake, flaws, bad times, they sort of make you the person you are today. You know, so embrace anything, you know, be true to yourself, be you. You know, if you've messed up in the past, you've messed up. You can't change it, so why dwell on it? You know, so I was quite open and honest about all the dark times that we had. And, you know, I felt like he portrayed the character very well. And to be honest, he just literally portrayed whatever I told him. So Stephen is an absolute mastermind. He deserves full credit for this movie. He's done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's like already
Don't
not
worry,
ready for his question.
You're
And
next.
then he's like, hey, shut up. Isn't that so ironic?
The relationship with the other female
Yeah, no,
characters.
so obviously in the movie that it wasn't portrayed to its full potential when it comes to the females. When I walked in, they were a lot meaner to me. but at the same time, I was judging them, which is the crazy part when you think back to it. I walk in and I was very insecure and I was already thinking, well, these girls are going to be judging me. When in reality, I was also judging them. I was like, okay, well, you're just here because you're a model and because you're pretty. When in actuality, they are there because, you know, they want to get their kids through school or they want to have a better life. But I was just like, no, this is the way it's supposed, you know. So we were kind of very similar, and that's why we became friends, because I realized that I was like, I'm judging you, and I shouldn't be doing that. And we apologized to each other in the long run, and now we're all really good friends. Although I'm the only one who made it.
Right, man. Last question. It's yours.
During the time when you left England, went to Florida, and when you came back and you had the whole bar fight scene, I want to know more about the relationship between you two. Were you guys calling each other? Were you encouraging each other?
Great question about the relationship between you two after
Your first shot at trying out.
Right, okay, after you got your shot.
I mean, that was also very similar too. And the thing is about Zach is like, I don't want anyone to misjudge like how he was feeling. Like he was more so not jealous of my accomplishment. He was just very frustrated because he had a dream and he did have it longer than I had. And I mean, Zach is such like a wrestling encyclopedia that he knows wrestlers just by their boots, you know. And so he was very frustrated, and he thought that he needed this to be successful, which in actuality he didn't. So it took a while. It didn't take as long as what we is portrayed, maybe like a couple of weeks. I mean, this is over the course of like 2.5 years of being in SCW, you know. But after a couple of weeks, Zach kind of snapped out of it a little and was just like, I'm sorry. And then when he watched the movie too, it made him think back to like those feelings as well, right? So he called me after watching the movie, and he was just like, I'm so sorry. Just cried his eyes up. I'm so sorry, I was mean to you. Just throwing him on the bus right now.
You know what? I think honesty is the best policy, and there was a part of me that was very jealous. You know, my sister, a person who I had traveled up and down the road with and got her in the ring at every available moment. You know, we would be in that ring, practicing moves. She was like my dummy. I was throwing her around. I'm like, this move is so cool. I've done it with my sister. This is gonna get a pop, man. I'm definitely gonna be over on this show. But yeah, there was jealousy. I'm not even gonna lie, there was jealousy. But most of all, I wanted to be there with her. I wanted to be her big brother. You know, we all know that. You know, my sister's had some dark times, and if you guys have seen Jay and Silent Bob, I wanted to do that. I wanted to travel around on an aeroplane and beat the crap out of everyone that was talking crap about my sister. You know, and it was a hard time for her, and I wanted to be there because that's something that's always happened. We've always been together. Even though there's 5,000 miles between us, I feel that we're closer now than ever. One more thing. Hutch, can I get that job now, please?
I was going to say, you know, in hearing you say all of this, I think you really are a part of her, and your whole family is a part of her, and I think all those times in the ring and the closeness that you share and the love that you have for her, I don't know that Paige would have gone on to be who she was without that love, without that support, and ultimately that's why we're all here. So thank you so much to you and to you, Paige, for sharing your story and for including me in it. I say thank you. And Scott, you're tremendous as always. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's how you can help. I mean, yes, to have that 92% on Rotten